It had taken some of her best work to convince her parents and 4 sisters to summer in New Orleans instead of in their mansion in Newport, but with Teddy Day finally a bachelor once more, Flora Wingfield wasn't leaving anything to chance. She leaned against the polished rail of the steamboat, gripping her chapeau as she peered down at the muddy Mississippi River, attempting to catch a glimpse of life below the surface, but she doubted that if she stuck her hand in the water, she would even see her own fingers. Instead, all that greeted her was the blurry reflection of her cream hat peeking over the side of the boat. At the Belle Memphis's jarring whistle, she straightened and pulled at her high collar, the thick air leaching upon her skin. The hum of the levee workers greeted her as the boat's paddle wheels slowly churned into port. As the landing stage swung into position, Flora was jostled against the crowd, pressing with the rest of the passengers to disembark at long last. She clutched her beaded reticule to her chest, having been thoroughly warned against pickpockets by Father after losing her pin money on the journey here. She at last ambled down the landing stage and broke free from the group. She pushed back her golden curls from her face and, with her hands on her slim hips, whirled around and around, drinking in the city from the waterfront. Craning to see over hundreds upon hundreds of bales of cotton and countless wooden barrels being stacked and readied for shipment, she made out the distant spire of a church above all else in the clear sky. While the New Orleans port was not quite as deafening as New York's, the cadence was different, with drawn-out words, dipping and swaying in an unfamiliar, lovely pattern. "Beautiful," she whispered. And what was even more beautiful was the thought that Teddy Day was in the same city as she for the first time since— well, she wouldn't think about that part. She turned back to the steamboat and strained her neck, searching for her family and spotting Tacy's orange gown almost at once. It was a rather hideous gown, yet her sister was not one to hide herself in a crowd, and as a close friend of the Vanderbilts had commented that Mrs. Vanderbilt hinted it was to be the hue of the season, Tacy had immediately ordered a fleet of orange gowns from Worth.